One of the biggest things that we're trying to help our customers understand is the amount of leads that they can lose each month due to missed calls or a bad follow-up process. As far as what we have natively, we have a couple of automated things that customers can add in. So for example, I go to a website, I fill out that form. CallRail can send a text message back to the lead and give them some more information, hey, we'll be getting back to you soon. So to your point, hopefully they don't keep going down the list and calling more providers.
If you're a contractor with multiple CSRs, check out this Service Business Mastery podcast partner, Lace.ai. Lace uses cutting-edge AI to analyze your phone calls, uncover lost revenue opportunities, and empower your CSRs to convert more leads. You can significantly increase revenue without spending extra on marketing or hiring by using Lace.ai to boost your conversion rates. For the first time, you can gain deep insights into customer needs at scale with minimal effort. Elevate your call center to achieve industry-leading booking rates and revenue. Visit www.lace.ai to book a demo today. Now back to the show.
Today's episode is powered by Rilla Voice.
Rilla has taken those cumbersome, time-consuming ride-alongs and streamlined the entire process by leveraging AI technology to do dozens or hundreds of ride-alongs virtually every single day.
They also provide you, the owner or manager, with the top performers KPI metrics designed easily for you to coach your team into rock stars.
Schedule a demo today at www.rilla.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, Upfrog.
Upfrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Learn more at upfrog.io.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Service Business Mastery. We are talking marketing, ROI, and attribution today with CallRail. We are Tertius today. He actually just took a red-eye flight home. He was out by me in Phoenix for AI Tech Conference, and I'm pretty sure he's still asleep. So when you listen to this episode, whenever it gets released, make sure you give him a little trouble, give him the business about that, about not being awake for this episode. But we're going to have a great time. Obviously, if you guys have followed us for any length of time, I use CallRail. Tersh uses CallRail. We have a lot of companies on Sarah that use CallRail. So we're very excited to talk to CallRail today because they're constantly making improvements and enhancements to their product. And they have a lot of data that normal human beings don't have because they transcribe and see millions of calls where us mere mortals have hundreds or thousands of calls. So with that being said, Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you having me out today.
Yeah, could you do a brief introduction for about yourself?
Of course. I've been with CallRail almost 6 years now. I'm currently a sales manager, so helping reps with new businesses that are coming to CallRail. And then I started off as a sales rep myself. So pretty familiar with the home service industry, the type of things that I think a lot of your audience is looking for, but the type of data that we can provide.
I think it was about a year, maybe 2 years ago. Could even be longer than that. My time is flying. But you guys came out with some technology on top of your normal, because normally like when we initially started with CallRail 5 years ago, when I started Relentless Digital, it was the transcription, the marketing source, and there was other data in there, but that was it. And we had to our team had to kind of go through and like listen to calls or try to read the transcription, which sometimes the transcription wasn't always, transcription things, sometimes like people's accent and stuff make it really hard to understand what's going on in the call. And so there'd be challenging. Like it would take us, our data would always be like our data that we're reporting to clients would always be like 7 to 10 days behind. It was pretty normal. So like nobody knew any differently. Right. And then AI comes out and now it's like, how can I get it faster? How can I get it right now? And I feel like the constant push in the market is like now. Yeah. Is that what you guys are seeing from your end too? Like what kind of enhancements have you guys made to the product over the last couple of years that are beneficial for end users?
Yeah, so we're definitely hearing a lot about AI. It's definitely in the thoughts of our leadership team, our product team, our engineering team. And to your point, a couple of years ago, call tracking was, hey, what's the source of the call? If we can get it, let's supply a recording, a transcription, so we can go back and see what happened. But to your point, that data is great, but it's not necessarily getting you where you need to go and not doing it as fast as we're really wanting to. 7 to 10 days time. We can shorten that down. It's definitely going to help, right? So CallRail did launch after that time something called premium conversation intelligence, which kind of takes it the next step further. You need to know where the call came from, but then we also need to know what happened on the call, right? Were they calling asking for directions? Were they trying to sell the business some services, or were they actually calling in because they're a qualified lead and they're looking to book an appointment, right? So our AI products really do that for these clients. So it's going to provide a summary of the phone call, 3 to 5 sentences, really high level understanding of what happened. It's also going to provide something called tagging. So to your point, you're doing reporting, right? You're sending reports to clients, you're reporting on sources, what's actually working to generate this ROI, and understanding what type of call it was is going to help you get there. So one great thing that CallRail does that a lot of our home service customers are looking for is tagging calls when they are booked appointments, or tagging a call when it's not a booked appointment. So when we're looking at those reports, we know what behaviors we want to be marketing towards. But we can also understand why certain things are not converting to appointments, right? Is there any sort of problem there, or something that we can help create more efficiency in the marketing content, or particularly with the team answering the phone call? So that would be kind of the other side, right? Not only what type of lead was it, but hey, how did my team actually handle that call? Did they do a good job and provide a great customer experience? Did they have, questions that they couldn't answer? Is this a potential training opportunity? Or did the lead call in to potentially cancel an appointment? And did we really try to save that? These are all things that customers can figure out very easily with CallRail, and use AI to make that easier for them and make these insights come to them a little bit quicker.
I'm going to ask you a question that I didn't preempt you with, and I don't know if this is even possible. It's literally like me as a visionary. I'm like, this would be cool. So you mentioned like some of these questions that can get answered after a phone call by looking at the summary and the transcription, things like that. Has there been any thought, like, because I know a lot of software tools are starting to build like I have the new S24. I'm a Samsung Android guy, so don't hate me if
Nice.
you're an iPhone user, because
I got
Tersh is an
Android
iPhone
too.
user and he gives me the business every time about my blue bubble versus my green bubble.
Yep. I got the blue bubble too, so you're safe here.
Okay, all right, good. That's why we didn't invite him today. But so with that being said, like some of the like when I go into my email on my phone, it automatically, the little Galaxy AI bubble pops up and I can like click it. I don't really use it, but I could click it if I want to. And I'm thinking like, if there was a series of prompts or questions that I wanted at the end of every phone call, is it something that there is some sort of customization or maybe an integration with Zapier or something that this could happen where maybe I can get a report on like a certain call center agent, and maybe like, did they do the right greeting? Did they, like whatever the workflow is of their calls, did they
Yeah.
follow the script? Did they offer to book an appointment? Did they, whatever you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, obviously, discussions. I mean, if there's anything proprietary you can't share, that's fine. But I'm like ideas, and
Yeah.
I like sharing those ideas, because even if there's not people that are listening to this, maybe there's things that you can do, because you have with CallRail, you have the entire transcription. So you can take that, and it has, I know in the Zapier integration you guys have, you can take the transcription, you can take the call recording out. So you can do other things with that
Yeah.
data. So I'm just curious if there's anything like that you guys have thought about, focused on, just to give more like high level insights to a contractor or a business owner.
Yeah, no, I like where your head's at. It's definitely something that's at the top of mind. We're always trying to improve the AI, so getting it to do more generative things, being able to ask it questions is definitely something that our product team is looking at. I think in the current state, we could listen out for certain keywords or phrases said by either the lead or the agent. It's kind of like if-then statements at the moment. So we could use that to supply some tags, and at least get a lot of the information that I think you're looking for here, maybe not 100%. And then you could, in theory, take that transcript and pump it into a tool like ChatGPT and use that to ask some questions as well. So I don't think CallRail's there just yet. We have some ways to get pretty close, but that's definitely the line of thinking that I think my team is looking for, and kind of what we're looking to improve on.
Yeah, and that's what we've loved about our partnership with CallRail is, every so often I'm like, oh, new feature, oh, new feature. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
great. It's always nice when and this goes for anything, for anyone listening to this episode, is you think about partnering with, whether it's a software company, coaching company, marketing company, and any type of company, partner with people that innovate and continue to grow and
Yeah.
not are stagnant, and it's super important because they're just going to make you better. and they're going to make you better by default just because you're connected to them.
Yep.
And I think for us, what CallRail and our partnership has spawned is it's actually spawned. I mentioned it to you. Some of our we've kind of sort of mentioned on social media, but Trish and I have developed our AI call analysis and automation tool because we want to do more with the calls. We want to really give those high level insights and really solve like a specific pain point for people, but without us having the initial connection with CallRail and seeing the data and seeing the initial AI summaries and stuff, we wouldn't be able to think of these solutions, so it's
Yeah.
partnerships like
Start
that.
bouncing
It
the
spawns
ideas.
more ideas and it spawns greater innovation
Yep.
because everybody's innovating.
Exactly.
And that's why I always appreciate with you guys. So when it comes to marketing attribution, this is obviously always a hot topic. And it's not, I don't think it'll ever not be a hot topic until somebody perfects attribution, because attribution is such a difficult thing because they may have seen a TikTok video and then went to your website. With that being said, the example, they saw a video on TikTok, then they see your yard sign, then they go to your website, then they see a special offer that you texted them, and then they come to your Google Business Profile, click on your Google Business Profile, and land there.
Yeah.
And like there are some things in marketing, and this is more so just from my perspective, like you're not going to know absolutely everything when it comes to marketing. Marketing is such a robust mix of things. And that's why like I see these group chats all the time about like, well, what's the best one for ROI, or what's the best one to get me the most leads? And I'm like, there is no best.
A lot of factors.
Now, obviously, the Google Business Profile drives a ton of organic conversions.
A lot
Website,
of volume.
yeah, I don't think you're probably pre-positioned with like data from that stuff, but I know we have some data on that. But is there any trends that you guys are seeing or things that you guys recommend when it comes to attribution side, like to think about when it comes to what should I be concerned about as a contractor when it comes to my marketing attribution? Like what makes sense? What should I be looking for? What should I be asking my agency about? Things like that.
Yeah. I think number one is being able to track it. If you're spending money on marketing, you're not tracking how it's coming back to you, it's going to be hard to replicate success and understand where we have inefficiencies, right? So oftentimes
So
you're spending money.
should I have a call tracking number for everything?
I think for a lot of, if you're paying money for it, I would definitely put a call tracking number on it for sure. If you're not paying money for it, I would kind of look at the cost benefit analysis. Numbers for us can typically cost a couple of dollars a month, less than a cup of coffee. If you're spending any more time or resources on that marketing piece, channel, source, whatever it is, I'd say it's worth it. So number one, got to be able to track what's happening, right? Number two, I mean, as far as trends, definitely keeping top of mind to people that are searching in things like Google and Bing. Google is definitely the number one used search engine. That's what we see. So having a good organic presence so that your Google My Business profile is higher up in that list, that's definitely something that's going to help. And attribution and knowing things like landing pages that are driving calls helps do that. The other one is obviously going to be paid search. Google ads, local service ads, those are huge to drive potential callers, especially when they're searching up on their phones. That's a lot of times the things that they're going to be seeing. And then as far as strategy, I would say, having not all of your eggs in one basket, right? You put everything into organic, you don't do paid. Hey, maybe you don't have a great mix. There's also social media in here as well. I wouldn't discount social media either, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like you mentioned. And then, of course, offline advertising, mailers and things like that. So I think keeping a healthy mix, tracking the ROI and looking at that data, a few times a month to understand what the trends are looking like. And then ultimately making data-informed decisions based on that information, right? And not only the source, but to our point a little bit earlier, using that AI to understand, was this a booked appointment or not? Was this a cancellation or a reschedule? Or what type of service were they interested in, right? A lot of times businesses have services that drive more revenue than others. So if you can understand what marketing is driving those types of calls and you can get more of them, well, hey, it's probably going to be a better way to get more growth out of the business, right?
Yeah. When I look at like the activity for a client or a report for like a certain time period, what I like is that, and this is dynamic number insertion, dynamic call tracking. It's got a few different names. is something that's widely misunderstood. Like we still get questions from clients like, how come the number's always different on my website? And when we explain it, sometimes I still don't think it sticks. Is there a way, you've been in sales, when people ask about dynamic
How to explain it?
number insertion and stuff, like how you explain that so
Yeah.
they understand what it is and why it is so vitally important, and don't just have a static number on your website?
Yeah, great point. Number one, I'll talk about the pitfalls of the static number. That's the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest thing to understand. Here's your website number. Put it on your website. If somebody calls it, that must have been what drove their behavior. The difficult thing about that is oftentimes an agency or the business themselves is running a lot of digital marketing to try to drive traffic to the website. So we want to know where they came from. That's where visitor tracking comes in. It's a group of numbers that are dedicated exclusively to the website. When a visitor clicks on something that leads them to the site, they're going to load the page and see one of these call tracking numbers. So I think the hard part for some people to understand is why there's more than one phone number. And I try to explain that with the door behind me. Let's say this room that I'm in is my website. And outside of that door, there's 4 Post-it notes on the wall. Each Post-it note is a different phone number. So if I visit the website, I grab one of those Post-it notes. That's the number that I'm seeing on that website for my entire session. Even if I leave the site and come back, I'm still going to see the same number. So it's not confusing for me as an end user or a lead, right? And then if somebody else wants to come in behind me, because there's oftentimes more than one person on the website, they're going to grab a different Post-it note, right? CallRail is only showing one number to one visitor at a time. So if I call in, well, hey, CallRail knows this phone number was associated with my web session, and now it can tie my caller ID information to me. So it's going to say, hey, Nick called in on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Here's the phone number that he dialed. And we know that that number came from Google Ads. They searched these keywords. They integrated or they interacted with this campaign. Here's all of that information tied back to Nick. So I don't know if that helps or not, but the Post-it note is kind of how I explain it, because we need to have a number unique to every person that's on the site at that time. And that's how we can understand how they came in versus you or somebody else.
My wife used to do sales for us. We hired someone else to do that about 6-7 months ago. And when she was doing her research before the call, she would look at the Google business profile and check the phone number. And then she would check the website for the phone number and see what number was on there.
Yep.
And I won't say all the time, but more often than not, there was the same phone number. And so what she would do on a sales call is she would ask the contractor, do you have call tracking in place?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have call tracking in place. Okay.
Where'd I call?
How many calls did you get from here and how many did you get from here? And the silence that I just gave you is the answer. They're like, I don't know. And it would go further, and they wouldn't be able to understand where they were getting their calls from. And then that's a very basic thing to drive Google business profile one way and organic from the website another way.
Yep.
That doesn't even get into like all the different, we talked about, how many tracking numbers should you get? So which I really liked your answer. I kind of glossed over it, but the fact that it was, if you put money towards it, track it. I love that philosophy. There's a lot of people, I've seen a lot of, we work with a lot of Service Titan clients. Tersh and I know a lot of people on Service Titan, and they have tracking. They literally have like 10 pages of tracking numbers inside of Service Titan. Like I've gone through reports and I'm like, most of them don't have any calls. They have nothing, no volume, no nothing. And some of that stuff just becomes a lot of noise.
Yeah, cumbersome.
It's just more data and more things you got to think about. Like, well, because you get distracted on a report. Like, well, how come I'm not getting calls for that? I know I got calls for that. Getting back to the dynamic number insertion, it's a super important thing. It's super important even for pay-per-click if you have that on landing pages, because what Nick didn't mention, I'll mention it, is that with the CallRail script, the piece of code, it's a very quick, short piece of code that you put on your website that follows people around, is that code allows you to see what page they came from. So it's really interesting. I was going to mention this and I went dynamic number insertion. So I'm kind of going to bring this full circle, but we mentioned Bing, we mentioned Google. You'll see people come from DuckDuckGo. You'll see people come from Yahoo, believe it or not. You'll see people come from sites that you've never even heard of. And somehow they landed on your website, which if it happens once or twice, it's not a big deal, but it can lead to some insights. Like maybe someone somewhere shared a blog post or something for you on some forum that you don't know exists. And all of a sudden you got 5 to 10 leads on it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like, well, maybe I need to investigate that because you just don't know. People are random. They do random things. Uh, and this is why this data is so important to understand, at least look at. Like, you don't have to be an expert. CallRail makes the reporting very easy to understand. You look at the activity report, you can see calls by source, and it'll say Google Business Profile, website, PPC. It'll say all the things, and it'll just go from most calls to least. But with that piece of code, it also does a few other things, and I guess I'll let you talk about that too, because everyone wants to know what pages on their website are doing something. Like, I have all these pages that my SEO company, which in this instance, hopefully, if you're listening to this, is us. But if it's not, why are these pages here? Are they good? Does anyone go to them? Does anyone convert on these pages? Like, I don't know, because it takes a lot of data diving to find out. But so what kind of
Yeah.
insights can we glean from getting whether it's CallRail, and there's obviously other call tracking sources out there, but what kind of data can they learn from that?
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
Today's episode is powered by Cirrus Systems.
Sarah is all about removing the clutter and unnecessary touch points to run your home service business profitably.
They use AI dispatching to get the right tech to the right call automatically, and job time efficiency to ensure your entire team runs like a profit-generating machine.
Get a tech upgrade for your business at get.sarah.tech/service-business-mastery.
Yeah, great point there. For SEO purposes, referring pages and landing pages. So what site were they on before they loaded your web page? Was that a blog post, a Reddit page, social media, what have you? The page they landed on, of course, that'll start telling us what's driving most conversions and helping get those search rankings up for your team. You're also going to get the click ID if it was something like Google, Microsoft, or Facebook, so that you can integrate that back with your ad platforms and actually start optimizing conversions for the data that we're getting in here. The pages that they viewed on the site as well. So if they hit one specific landing page and then they funneled down to another one, and that's what actually drove that call, well, hey, that's going to be important because we know that flow is going to potentially lead to more success. So those things on top of the source, the campaign, and the paid search keywords, I think would be the biggest things. And then we've been talking about calls. A lot of the home service companies that I work with also have contact forms on their website. Not everybody wants to call. Sometimes they want to fill out that form. They'll expect to call later on. That line of code is all you need to put on there to track your form as well. So, hey, when that form is filled out, did they come from organic? Did they come from paid search? What page did they land on? Which campaign? So that we can track all types of leads in one spot, including inbound text messages. So you're really able to control and look at all of the ROI, and you're not piecemealing it together. One report, we make it easy. We'll give you all those insights.
Are there some pieces, so with forms, calls, things like that, like let's say a call was abandoned or a form came in, is there, do you guys have any sort of native automation pieces? Because I know that's something that we heavily focus on is, speed to lead. And I haven't really looked into, what you guys have natively, because we use we create our own app for like texting and stuff like that. But
Got it.
I believe you guys have some sort of automation for that too. So if someone's using the platform, they can start getting some speed to lead stuff done really quickly, because it's always the leads come in there. We have an analogy and presentations that Church and I do of a bucket of water. And with contractors, that a bucket of water signifies those are your leads. The water's your leads, and the bucket is what's holding them together, like in your funnel. And a lot of contractors, and a lot of businesses in general, just not necessarily contractors, have a lot of holes in their buckets.
Yeah.
Whether that's losing estimates, or that's missed calls, or it's not getting back to someone on form submissions, or it's just not following up. There's a lot of missed opportunity for most businesses. So like doing something proactive when a lead comes in to immediately try to grab their attention, so they stop scrolling, they stop going to a competitor, they stop doing the next thing, is vital. And for those businesses that really want to grow.
It is huge. That's a great call out. One of the biggest things that we're trying to help our customers understand is the amount of leads that they can lose each month due to missed calls or a bad follow-up process. As far as what we have natively, we have a couple of automated things that customers can add in. So, for example, I go to a website, I fill out that form. CallRail can send a text message back to the lead and give them some more information. Hey, we'll be getting back to you soon. So, to your point, hopefully they don't keep going down the list and calling more providers. We can also do the same thing if there was a missed or an abandoned call. So if that call doesn't get picked up, hey, CallRail, let's go ahead and send a text out, right? Maybe we include a link to the form, let them know we're going to be calling them back, because the last thing you want is for these leads to be contacting you and then they don't convert just because we didn't get back quick enough, right? There's a lot of that going on. So that automation definitely helps. And then there's also some other things with forms that we can do to help that speed to lead. So if I do fill that form out online, CallRail can actually call or text an employee at the business. So within 30 seconds to a minute, they know that that form is there. They're not waiting for an email or checking their email later. And if it's that phone call option, they can even press a button to connect back with that lead on a phone call and just immediately try to get them booked to make sure that we can help them if there's a fit.
That's a good point. I remember that now. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, that's right. Because we kind of call it like a hot lead connect, where a form comes in. So the way it works, the form comes in, and we usually had it where like a phone call would come to the office of that business. You pick it up, it's, hey, this is a form submission. Do you want to connect, press one. If not, or do you want to hear the form, press two, something like that. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it's something like that. And if you press one, it automatically dials that person out, which, I mean, you think about, especially if it's during business hours and you have someone manning the phones, what a great opportunity to not even have to text or email them back, but to immediately get them on a phone. They literally just finished filling something out.
Right there.
So they're not far. They didn't go very far. They might be going to someone else's website and you catch them because they fill out a form for a price or whatever, an estimate, and you catch them right away and distract them from what they're doing, book an appointment, answer their questions, and hopefully you guys get the or sell the job.
Yeah, because everybody's busy. So just making it easier, right? Making it easier to connect, easier to understand what's going on. That's what we're looking at. To your point, and kind of some anecdotal feedback, I had to get some tree work done at my house. This was last year, maybe around July. I ended up calling, I think, 4 different tree companies, and I think I submitted forms on 2 or 3 websites, and it took like multiple days for some of them to get back. Some of them never got back to me. So of course, the first one that got back to me, that's who I ended up doing the job
But
with.
I bet,
Perfect example.
Nick, I bet they told their marketing company they need more leads.
I'm sure they did. And they said, hey, Google's not working for us. This spend isn't working.
And guys, I'm teasing. I'm just kind of mildly teasing because this does happen to us all the time. And this is why we, with CallRail's technology, all the clients that sign up for Relentless Digital Services, we connect you with CallRail. And if you have ServiceTitan or you have another provider you want the numbers to go to, we take CallRail's tracking numbers and we forward them to your tracking. So that way you can get the revenue attribution and we can get the marketing attribution because it is different. But we hear that a lot where I need more leads. So we go in and we have a human team that's tagging and doing all the back end stuff to like really get a really quality report of what's happening. Because one, maybe we're driving bad traffic. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe one of the phone numbers is got a bad, got on some spam list and they're getting a ton of crap calls. But so we need to know these things so we can swap out the number. We can make changes. But we want to know how many calls you got. And these are numbers. If you guys are not tracking these yourself, I want you like literally as you're listening to this, write this down. But start with number of calls. So let's say we got 100 calls in the month, which I know is a very low number for home services. But just as simple math, you got 100 calls. How many of those were leads? And this is stuff you can literally do right inside of CallRail. Just tag all your verified leads by looking at the summary or the transcription or listening to the call if you want to. So, and a lot of times is maybe 50-ish, 60% are actually leads of that 100 calls. And of that, and this is, you got to get rid of some of the ones that are duplicates, right? Because Mrs. Jones called 4 times to see where her technician is because she's sitting there watching out the window. And she's like, why is my tech not here? Why is my tech not here? You got to filter out all that stuff to really understand what's happening with your marketing. So it is work. And it is something that is crucial because if we don't know those things, we can't really get to the point of an actual booking rate, like a real booking rate. So you can decide, is my CSR team, my call center team doing a good job?
Yep.
Are they not? Because there's so many, this is why we took the bucket of water that is there's water spewing out all over the place in this bucket of water. That's why you got to keep dumping money that you don't have into the top of the funnel, because all these holes are in your business. That's why, like, our team, and when we talk about stuff, it's so crucial. You plug one hole, and then you work on the next one, and then you work on the next one. All of a sudden, your marketing expenses all of a sudden you're growing. Your marketing expense doesn't look so crazy anymore.
Yep.
And it blows people's minds when they actually get it. It's the fact that there's a lot of people don't get it. They're just like, I need to see more leads. I need to keep my team busy.
Yeah.
But you're already
Takes
have
a little
the
bit of time to get that framework and be able to shape it the way that you want, right?
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
Tersh, I want to talk about something that's a hot topic in the digital marketing space: missed calls. You were telling me the other day you have a unique way of making sure 100% of your calls are answered. What the heck are you doing?
It's actually really cool. So, we always talk about AI and automation. Well, now I don't have to worry about missed calls anymore because we use Avoca.ai, and it's an AI voice agent. And every time a phone call comes in and say one of our CSRs are busy or even after hours, we've actually completely done away with after hours call center. Avoca picks up the phone and it announces that it's an AI agent. Her name's actually Sarah, and she's really cool. And it's great because every time you get a conversation going, and that entire conversation is transcribed and gets sent to Slack, text message, or onto their dashboard. And then if some of the CRMs that you use that we're using out there, actually, you can book the call through the CRM as well. So that's a really cool thing too. So, I mean, honestly, if anybody hasn't checked this out already, www.avoca.ai.
So, guys, if these problems are yours and you want to fix them, head over to www.avoca.ai and discover how they're helping service businesses like yours maximize every lead that you get.
Yeah, and that's what I like. And obviously, this podcast episode turned a little bit of a love fest for CallRail because we've used it for 5 years. Tersh has used it for a number of years, and it's always been good to us. And I love the data.
Yeah, and to that
Our
point,
team uses this every month. Like, we literally take the data, we export it, and we do some of our own reporting with it. But this data gets reported on every single month with clients, so we can understand, is your booking rate good? Like, sometimes clients will think their booking rate's 70-80%, and we're looking at just the leads we generate, and it's at 35%. People will probably say that we're biased because we're marketing, but we want to know the truth, because if we don't know the truth, like, if you're really at an 80% and you don't have enough, then we need to have, it's a different discussion than you're actually at 35% and you need to do just bet. You don't need to spend any more money. I don't want more money from you. I want you to do more with what you already have.
exactly. And there's one other product that leads into that fairly well, and that's another AI offering of CallRail called Convert Assist. So it's really helping with that CSR side of things, the call center, right? Convert Assist is going to help with some post-call items. So things like call coaching for the person that answered the call. Where can we improve? What did we do well? It's going to have a next steps. So, hey, just kind of outlining based on that conversation what needs to happen to get them converted. And it also has a smart follow-up. So it's like a pre-drafted email that they can copy and paste in their follow-up process. Or they could use that for like a call script, or maybe even a text message. The cool thing about that product as well is, let's say they call in and they don't book that appointment, right? That's not always going to happen. Well, now we can have some sort of a tag for, hey, these calls didn't lead to an appointment. And we have all of that Convert Assist information in one place. So if you want to have a CSR following up with all these leads at the end of the week or the end of the month, they have all the context from that original conversation that they need and all the information to hopefully get them converted and drive them a little farther down the funnel.
I love that. Yeah, that's the beauty of technology. And that's why it's so important for companies in the trades who have historically been tech averse or haven't bought into tech as much. I think that is changing, or has changed a little bit, but it's still, there's a lot of times, like, Tersh and I go to these trade shows and we talk about AI and automation, and people's minds are like, literally, you could just see it. It's like, I didn't realize I could do all this. Yeah, you can. And that's just like literally the tip of the, like, very tiny tip of the iceberg of what you can do. So, but I do want to let people know, so anyone listening to this, if you go to servicebusinessmastery.com/partners, there is the CallRail logo is on that screen. And if you guys want to do a free trial, it will automatically take you to the landing page for that. You can start the free trial. And of course, there's more information and stuff like that you guys can get. You're more than welcome to reach out to myself. Like I said, we use CallRail literally for every single client. So we have tens of thousands of numbers, and we track, I think, something like 25,000 calls a month. During the slow season and the busy season in the summer, it's 40 to 50,000 calls a month. So we have a lot of insights. We can share kind of what we know. But I want to talk about AI search real quick because there is a blind spot in marketing right now. And I get a lot of questions. I've even made some YouTube videos about how to be seen in AI search and kind of how it works in the background, because we do know the sources that pull together like the answer of the query you're looking for. So if you're looking for like best HVAC companies in anywhere town,
Atlanta,
USA, and ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude doesn't go out to the open web. I think they teamed up with Perplexity actually, but they give some sources. So on the right-hand side, you can open that up and you kind of see like, where are they pulling the information from, which can help you kind of determine like, how do I get ranked on this? It's kind of like a little bit of the mixture of how they're doing that. But once somebody goes to when they click on that to actually go off of Perplexity, off of ChatGPT to a website, I don't know what's happening. And I don't know where that came from, because Google typically is going to classify as like a direct. In Google Analytics, they're going to classify as direct traffic. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that could be direct traffic, so I don't know what that means. Is CallRail working on something that can help with that, so I can understand like, hey, I'm getting 5 leads a month from ChatGPT or Perplexity?
Yeah, great question. Those search engines are definitely getting bigger, and I think it's only going to grow from here. And yes, CallRail is working on getting attribution for ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and those other AI-centric tools that people are utilizing. So that's definitely something that we'll be able to help customers with.
And maybe there's nothing that us mere mortals can do that don't get into the API and have developers that can develop stuff. But is there anything in the meantime we can do to track anything like that you're aware of if somebody's coming to our site that way?
Not off the top of my head, but let me check with my team and see if I can get some more information for you.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, but
all good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, this is the beauty of having great partners. And it's why it's so important, whether it's, call tracking platform or something else in your business, you need to be with partners that are constantly looking forward to the future, because the future is coming and has come at lightning speeds the last 2 to 3 years. It's not going to slow down. So in order for you to keep up, you need to be aligned with people that are forward thinking and constantly trying to innovate the products that they already have, and not just happy with the current revenue number that they generate.
Yep. It's all about improving for sure.
Absolutely. Nick, thanks for joining us today. Is there anything I missed or that you want to shout out?
Only thing I want to shout out is if any listeners are going to go to that CallRail page, as Josh was mentioning, to start a free trial, you do get full help from an onboarding specialist during that 14 days. So you can expect an email and potentially a phone call from somebody who's going to reach out to try to find some time to actually walk through your business case, answer any questions, and help you set that trial up to see if it's going to be successful or not. So we're not going to leave you out there on your own. We're definitely here to help with that. And if a demo makes more sense, feel free to check out our site, schedule a demo. We can always get it started that way as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. That's a great thing, because a lot of times free trial, you kind of just press some buttons and hope for the best. You're like, oh, this is okay. You don't really get that support because you're not a paying user yet. So I love that you guys do that. So thanks for sharing that.
That's we give it to be able to test it out, right? The proof is in the pudding. So we want to be able to show it to you. And typically once we can see some live data, generate some of these insights, it's a no-brainer.
Awesome. Nick, thanks for joining us today. If this episode was valuable to you guys and you stayed to the end, go to Apple, go to Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. Don't leave us anything less than a 5-star review, because that's not helpful to anybody. If you got less than 5 stars out of this, you can email Tersh, and Tersh can take care of it, because I don't want to. But awesome. Nick, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Josh. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.